Screen curtain off. Links. Headings. Links. Form edit. Characters. Words. Lines. Text selection. Speaking rate. 70%. 60%. 55%. Screen curtain on. Screen curtain off.
What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to do another video. I've been pumping them out like crazy. I'm trying to make this channel a little bit more known and whatnot. And plus, I'm trying to kind of perfect this process. I'm just showing you different articles. That's why I'm doing screen recordings instead of like camera shots and shit. Because I'm just trying to make this more about the article rather than about myself. I might do some little like camera videos where I'm just kind of staring into the camera or whatever, but you're probably going to be seeing a lot of this. Just me covering different articles and whatnot, because it is very interesting. And this subject is something that I've actually become very aware of for a while now, because it's really interesting to me how a lot of these like popular ideas are often wrong.
Speaking rate. Text selection. Line. Text. Speak sound. Screen rec containers. Headings. Heading not found. Poverty doesn't. Heading not found. Heading not found. Heading not by. Poverty doesn't cause crime. Crime causes poverty. 4 periods. Heading level 1.
Like the idea that poverty causes crime. And this is actually an older article by something calling itself the Baltimore Sun. I don't know where that's from, but I've seen a lot of evidence to support this point, and it's really an easy thing to understand if you think about this a little bit harder. You know, because a lot of times the left will, because it's so emotional about these different things, it will tell you all these things like, oh, crime is caused because people are just poor. Actually, the opposite can be true. Is true. Now, I'm not saying at all that poor people who are poor don't cause crime because they are poor and they're looking for food. I do wonder if that's the case sometimes, but most of the time I don't think that's what's going on here. And there's always ways of getting food without stealing and things like this, clothing, whatever it is. At the very least, there's charity that you can get involved in and stuff like this. So to say that poverty causes crime is honestly a bit of a bigotry to me, because it makes people unaccountable for their own actions. And it's exactly what criminals want. That's exactly why these innocent fraud campaigns are working. The criminals are basically being interviewed, and they love it because they know they just want to get out of jail, whatever reason, whatever, right? A lot of times there's a lot of situations where they're just telling you a bunch of crap because they want you to feel sorry for the victim, or for the criminal. And I want to say, what I want to say to that is, what about the victims? What about the victims of these criminals? Anyways, that's, like, if you want to know more about all that kind of stuff, you should really watch a channel that I really do like, called Actual Justice Warrior. It goes into all these kinds of different criminal cases and the innocent fraud campaigns that are going on. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy to me. But anyways, I want to get into this article without going too deep into all this other stuff. And talk about it on the other side.
Poverty doesn't cause crime. Crime causes poverty. 4 periods. Heading level 1. By Theo Lippman Jr. Baltimore, Sunday, March 30th, 1991 at 12 a.m. Email share button. Facebook share button. Pinterest, LinkedIn, poverty. How does crime? Poverty doesn't cause crime. Crime causes poverty. Therefore, to fight poverty, fight crime. Article, landmark. How does crime cause poverty? Suppose your family lives just above the poverty line. A burglar breaks into your house and steals all your clothes. What it costs you to replace then drops you into poverty, since you no longer have the minimum needed for food and shelter. Or suppose you're on your way home from work. A mugger takes your paycheck and beats you up so badly that you'll have to miss another week's work. Losing 2 weeks' pay is impoverishing at many levels. In 1988, according to the Department of Justice, the total estimated cost of crime to victims was $16.6 billion. This estimate includes losses from property theft or damage, cash losses, medical expenses and other costs. The estimate was derived by summing crime victims' estimates of the amount of stolen cash, the value of stolen property, medical expenses and the amount of pay lost from work because of injuries, police-related activities, court-related activities, or time spent repairing or replacing property. Not all of that $16.6 billion came from poor and nearly poor victims, but much of it did. The rate of criminal victimization is higher in cities, where most of the poor live, than in suburbs or non-metropolitan areas. It is highest by far in cities our size, 500, 000, 999, 999, half again the rate for large metropolitan suburbs, more than double the rate for medium metro suburbs. The rate of criminal victimization also correlates to income for many crimes. Someone with an income of less than $7,500 is 3 times more likely to be robbed than someone with an income over $50,000, and is twice as likely to be assaulted. That $16.6 billion surely underestimates the annual monetary cost of crime. Think of the lost wages of people who won't take a better paying job, or a job at all, because of fear of street crime. Think of higher insurance costs in high crime neighborhoods. Think of paying for home security systems out of food budgets. So it seems to me that a real federal anti-poverty effort would be one aimed at reducing crime, especially inner city crime, and in my view that would be money spent on more police officers. I mean a lot more money. Not the few $100 million the Bush administration proposes or the billion Senator Joe Biden proposes. Crime rose in big cities in the past 2 decades while police forces shrunk. Baltimore had 3,471 officers in 1972, 2,915 in 1989. Cleveland went from 2,299 to 1,743. Philly, 8,183 to 7,190. New York, Indianapolis, Detroit and most big cities, ditto. From 1972 to 1989 in Baltimore, which is typical, the number of offenses known to police went from 50,937 to 71,373. If the feds shifted.
So we get it, right? No, we don't have to go too deep into all this. And the problem, the thing about all this now is that with all this fucking Black Lives Matter stuff and everything, everybody's starting to become more anti-cop. Everybody's like, defund the police and all this stuff. And it's now leading to, you guessed it, more crime. How shocking could that be? How is it that you can get rid of police officers and that creates more crime? I can't believe that. No. You're telling me that police officers are determined to criminals? No. Anyways, like it's so ridiculous. Because they'll tell you that these police officers are racist and they're evil white men and all this kind of stuff. Even though I've actually seen black police officers, but no, that is beside the point apparently. It's probably some kind of internalized racism or something stupid. And so I look at all this stuff and I'm just like, wait, why is it that when these kinds of policies are proposed, they make things worse? They make criminals worse. They make criminals, there's more motive for criminals to be criminals than there was ever before. And the thing about all this, though, to me, is that when it comes to any of this stuff, this whole justice system, to me, is kind of like trying to cure a symptom, but not the cause. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to cure the symptom. Maybe that's a partial answer, especially when we're dealing with victims and stuff of all these crimes. But I think it's also important to find the cause and deal with it at the source. Because if we don't find the cause, we're basically just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it and hoping that's going to fix all these problems. I mean, it will, but it'll basically just sweep everything under the rug. It's not going to necessarily fix these problems. If I were a cop in these areas or any area at all, I feel so fucking useless because, Like, this whole system of arresting and putting criminals in prison is just curing the symptom but not the cause. Like I said, that doesn't mean it's not useful. You know, you cure the symptom of a cold because that cold is annoying. You know, there's runny noses and shit all happening. You know, there's all kinds of things that are making you miserable about this cold. But all these things that people give you, like NyQuil, Dayquil, and all this stuff, is curing the symptoms and not really curing the cause. Because there's no cure for the common cold. But just because it's only curing the symptoms doesn't mean it's not useful and helpful in that way. You know, it's kind of like that in my mind as well, because it's
Separator. Dimmed.
keeping
And
away
main.
the criminals. It's keeping victims safer, which we don't really have as much of anymore, because cops are bad and racist, apparently, because people claim this. I want to do an episode on racism, honestly, because it's such a non-understandable point to me. Like, and I want to go so deep into this to where you can really understand what's causing racism in a very understandable kind of way, and all this kind of stuff. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will talk to you in the next one.